Hi guys, the Determined Gardener here. Let's face it, not all of us have a sprawling garden to put dozens of roses in. In this video, I'm going to show you how to maximize a small space by planting roses in pots. And if you were enticed like I was, you probably got one of these roses from the big box stores. This one is Perfumer Earth Angel, and it is a beaut. Has a light pink in the middle and white on the rim. It is absolutely gorgeous. I left this in the pot for about 3 months. I did not take it out, and you can see how green and luscious it is. So if you're one of those people that don't have a lot of space, you can leave your roses in pots right outside. Just make sure that it's getting ample sunlight and ample water. You can see the results. Easy breezy. All the work is already done for you. Now to the fun part. You're going to need a couple of items. You can hear the birds chirping in the background. They are very, very happy. So we are going to use some perlite, some potting mix, not garden soil. You don't want garden soil because it's going to be too heavy and too soggy for your roses. You want a light, some garden food if you want, and most of all, this size pot. You want to make sure that you have a really good sizable pot with, of course, drainage holes. And the reason why you want a big pot is because the roots are going to expand. You're going to leave that rose in that pot for a while. It's going to live in there. So you want to have ample space to give your rose room to grow. One of the most important things you're going to need is a heavy-duty garden gloves. Now, don't judge me. This has been through it. You can see, but you know, I'm in the garden, so this is made out of leather, and what I love about this is that is arm's length to protect your entire arms and hand. You're gonna put the potting mix in there, and you can just put it halfway. You can see for yourself how rich this soil is, and very light and fluffy. All right, so that's good. So we have some of it already in here. We have about a third, and now we are going to use our trusty gloves because we want to make sure that we do not get hurt. Here we go. And remember, all the nutrients is already in here. They have a lot of soil in here. So that's the good thing about buying these type of roses instead of the bare root ones that just come with the root. It's already made for you. So that's the good part. And here we go. We want to make sure we put it right over the pot. And you can see just how beautiful these roots are. Just take a look at the roots. Nice, plump roots, very healthy. Massage the roots to give them a little bit more encouragement to start to grow out. Now we're just gonna put it in the pot just like that. Perfect. The reason why you want to make sure that you don't fill it too much is because you don't want the top to be spilling over. You want this part to be a little lower than the rim. Perlite improves drainage. And why do you need improved drainage? Because you don't want your roses to die. You don't want them to get waterlogged. So if you use this, that will help with the drainage. Sprinkle a little bit of this perlite in there, and you can use something like this. You can see it has bark in it and a lot of food and some pellets, and you want to make sure that it's nice and light. And I have one hand holding the rose, and I have a spatula right here that I can just start filling up the sides of the pot. And what's great about having roses in pots instead of the ground is not only the fact that if you have a small garden, but you can move it around. Say if your rose isn't looking well, you can move it to a different spot where it has more sun. And you can control the water a lot better too when it's in a pot. But just keep in mind, when it is in a pot, it dries out a little bit more. Why do you love roses so much? What is it about roses you think appeals to so many people? For me, there are just beautiful plants. They give. And I remember when my mom would grow roses in her garden, and it was such a special time. Me and her would spend time in the garden. Do you have any memories like that with a grandma or your mom looking at roses or just being in the garden with roses? I just think that they are such special flowers. What's your favorite color rose? I like red. The classic red is something that I always go for. Love white because it's nice and pristine. The pink one, awesome. I love this one is because it looks like David Austin. Now, if you know anything about David Austin roses, they are very expensive. They're pricey. And you can see that this one looks like a David Austin rose, that wonderful rosette pink in the middle, as opposed to the ones that you get at the big box stores that look just regular. But you know what? I can't beat the regular ones. So we're just gonna pack. And make sure you don't pack too deep. You don't wanna make it too dense. You just wanna make sure that it's nice and sturdy. And you can see it is pretty good right now. There's ample space from the soil to the top of the rim, and that's what you want. You want to have enough space so when you water, all the water stays in the pot. To give your roses a little bit more of a boost, you can use Job's fertilizer spikes, and this is it right here. It's a nice hefty spike. Another option is that you can use garden food. That's 10-10-10, and this is really good for roses. It gives it all the nutrients that it needs. I recommend that if you do use the spikes, it's best to plant them in the ground than in pots. You don't want to over fertilize your rose. So you want to place this baby in a spot where it's going to get at least 6 hours of sun. You don't want to place it in an area that's shaded, because if you do, that means that you're not going to get a lot of blooms. Also, when it comes to watering, I'm in zone 7B, which is a little cooler now. The way to find out whether your rose needs water is that you can pick it up. If the pot is heavy, that means that it doesn't need water. Now, if the pot is light, that means that probably does water. A finger test is a great way to make sure that you have enough moisture. Now, if you stick your finger in there and you feel it's moist, that means your rose is good. But if you do stick it and it feels very, very dry to the touch, that means that your rose needs watering. Another reason why I like roses in pots is because it's so much more manageable. Sometimes when you do put it in the garden, it's more susceptible to pests because they can get to it a lot easier. Here in the pots, you can examine it and you can thoroughly look to see if there's anything wrong with it when it's in a pot. Also, it's better size control because you can control it and prune it in a pot, as opposed to when it's in the ground. Sometimes it does spread out more than you want it to. And I have to admit, I love roses. I get very excited about them. But if you are a beginner, what I would recommend is really just check out the specs of the rose. This one gets 5 feet high and 4 feet wide. So this is a pretty substantial rose. Now, if you don't have the amount of space in your garden or you don't have a bigger pot, what I would recommend getting is the knockout roses. They sell them a lot in the big box stores. They will say knockout roses, and they usually come in the color pink. Or I would get a hybrid or tea rose, which are really short roses that you can plant in your garden or you can plant in a pot. Guys, you see, we did it. We did it. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel, The Determined Gardener. If you got any good useful information from this video, why don't you do me a favor and join the family and subscribe to my channel. Like this video with your family and friends. I gave you the basic information on how to plant roses in pots. I've seen lots of videos making it very complicated, and if you're a beginner, you can just easily follow these simple steps, because planting roses in pots should not be complicated, and it's not. Just remember, don't overwater. Make sure you have a big enough pot to sustain the rose, and make sure that you give it plenty of sunlight, at least 6 hours of sunlight, for it to grow those beautiful blooms for you. Again, thank you so much. See you in the next video. Keep on watching.